bitch!
Uh, we are going to review the movie Cuck, the greatest movie of all time, a part of the Cuck cinematic universe. Cuck, what a great movie! We actually did an entire recording
We
talking
did an
about Cuck.
entire recording. Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, you care to elaborate, Meatball, on what happened to that recording?
Yeah, so we recorded the entire first episode, right? First podcast episode. We got an hour and 10 minutes worth of recording done. And my dumbass tried to upload it to a Google Drive folder to share with our friend Mr. Synthcool here. And the upload was going to take forever, so I tried to convert it to an MP3
Oh,
with
fucking
VLC, and somehow in the process of doing that, it corrupted the file, and we lost the original recording.
yeah. Um, if anything, like, because we just had such a good riff. Like, it was probably the most glorious hour ever of podcast entertainment.
It was the
And now it's
best
lost
podcast
media.
of podcast history, and now it's lost to the ages.
So yeah, I guess we're going to talk about the movie Cuck because we thought that would be a very funny first episode to start on the movie Cuck from 2019, which I thought was pretty good. I think it's a solid 8 out of 10 movie. Is it perfect? No, but I think it's relevant. I think it's fresh. I think it has a lot to say. I like this is going to be a spoiler-filled review, so if you have not seen Cuck, get off your fannies and go watch Cuck on Tubi.
Yeah, on fucking Tubi. Go on
Yeah.
fucking Tubi for free TV and go look up Cuck. It's free. It's a free movie.
Yeah.
It's got to be good.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
It's an American classic.
Yeah,
So
I'm not as energetic because I ate a bunch of tacos sent after the first recording.
and I'm not as energetic because I saw my soul leave my body as soon as that video corrupted, or as soon as the recording corrupted. So I've sufficiently shit the bed. Let's get back. Let's get on to the movie. So my opinion, a 2 hour runtime, way too long for a movie called Cuck.
Yeah,
I think.
imagine crying about a movie having more like movie time. Like it's like crying that a chocolate bar is not enough. That
Look,
that there's too much of a chocolate bar.
look, man. I'm not a 3 hour movie, Andy, but I will say that for a movie called Cuck, it did kind of drag on a little too long.
What's wrong with the title? It's a relevant title. Cuck is part of the modern lingo. Like I don't get why you think it's fucking funny. Like it was a good marketing scheme. I mean, it was definitely really good marketing because all the butthurt like 4chan nerds like who are named like Kikistan, Dildo, K-On 420 are like, this movie is like mimicking our culture. This movie is demonizing us. And it's like, good. Maybe a movie could have a bite. It's good for a movie to have a little bit of edge, have a little bit of a bark, instead of being some like flubby, tasteless whatever. And honestly, Cuck is better than Joker. I respect Cuck more than Joker. Cuck should have
Cuck is
won.
better than Joker.
Cuck should have won at the Oscars, major motion picture, even though it's from like a very indie company.
I cannot help but disagree. So let's take it from the top. What's the plot of Cuck? How about you tell the wonderful
Uh,
listeners what the plot of Cuck
I ate a
is?
bunch of tacos. I need to take some water, so you tell them the plot of Cuck.
Okay, so Cuck, it's a 2019 American thriller film directed by Rob Lambert. It's about a kid named Ronnie who is a loner who lives with his possessive mother, is deemed unfit for military service due to his mental instability and petty crime. Retreating into the world of extremist internet groups, he creates a vlog channel from which he decries what he describes as the downfall of real America. Meanwhile, prompted by sexual frustration, he agrees to play the role of a cuckold in the couple's homemade amateur pornography.
Hell yeah.
He buys an unregistered firearm, and he begins to spend time at firing ranges. He meets his online idol, a charismatic leader of the alt right. However, when his identity as a cuck emerges, his macho persona is destroyed. Facing online shaming, Ronnie takes solace in his gun, which he regards as the only symbol of masculinity that he has left. And he goes on a fucking mass shooting spree at the end. Spoilers.
Most normal Ohio day ever.
Average day in Alexandria, Virginia.
Yeah, I thought Cuck was really well shot. Even with its limited budget, it still did enough to look really good. I thought it was a very stylish movie, had good performances. I just thought it was a very entertaining and interesting movie.
Well, my initial thoughts on the movie myself can be summarized with a single quote. Who's the cuck now?
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean,
Immediate thoughts are that it feels like one long protracted like "this you" by the
shut the
director against like right wingers on the internet. Uh,
who
the main
fucking who.
character feels like a living straw man with nothing really redeeming him. He's very much like coded in the movie to be like an autistic guy, because he has a bunch of
Oh,
like weird moments with his like reactions, his like gait, just things like that. He comes across as being like a low functioning autistic guy. I was just gonna say I feel like the movie kind of gestures vaguely a little bit, um, but it does a really good job at showing how infectious alt right talking points are. But it doesn't really necessarily portray them as good or bad within the film, which is a bit strange because like they show the main character as being like this like terrible guy. He's like this mega racist, like online weirdo, who just like screams like right wing propaganda into his camera for his vlog. But it never really shows why that's bad. It just kind of says like, "Hey, isn't this guy weird?" At least that's kind of how it came across to me.
I disagree with you. I think he is more than straw man. All these reviews crying how the movie's like a straw man or whatever. They're all asking. They all want their own version of Cuck. They all want their own version of Cuck. They can't just respect that someone else made the movie Cuck. And the Cuck, we're just gonna call him the Cuck. He is not a good guy. He is prone to hate. He is a very frustrated and unlikable character. But he's more than a straw man because there is nuance. He does have a bit of a backstory. He does have a little arc he goes in, and even at the end, when he spares the lives of a father and a son, it doesn't necessarily redeem him, but it does sort of give him more nuance. That there's more to this character than just random mechanized hate. That he is capable of stopping. And it is a touching scene because it shows flashbacks to his father committing suicide. And it's like the puzzle clicks in his head that he actually grows as a person in like the last 5 seconds of his life because he realizes that his father wasn't made to be the perfect all-American man, that he could stop living up to this standard that he's so desperately been clinging to all of his life. There is some nuance to that rather than some vague straw man a lot of butthurt nerds are willing to put on it. I think Cuck is a well-made movie.
Are
I
you
think it
calling me
has,
a butthurt nerd, motherfucker?
yeah, I think Cuck is a relevant movie. I think there's nothing wrong with a movie that's relevant. People could cry that this will be dated in 10 years, but it's like, who gives a shit? This movie's for me, not for some dumbass in 10 years in the future. This movie is for the audiences of today, not for the cucks in 10 fucking years in the future. So, yeah, suck a dick.
Synthcool watches this movie and says, "Oh my god, it's literally me."
No, that's not what I meant.
That's exactly what you just said.
No,
This
what I
movie's for
meant
me.
What I meant was that this movie was made for the audiences of today because it's topical to the lingo and political climate of today. So, yeah, I'd be a little embarrassed if I were you, okay, buddy?
Oh my god.
Bet you feel so fucking silly now. You're a
Oh.
fucking cuck.
All right.
Uh, yeah, Cuck is a powerful movie. I think
Powerful.
it should have its own cinematic universe. If honestly, if the Cuck survived in this movie, he could have had like a Darth Vader like redemption story and maybe joined the MCU. Like, maybe there could have been a Cuck 2, a Cuck 3, a Cuck 4. And I stand by it. Cuck is more redeemable than Darth Vader because Darth Vader like built a death empire. It's like you don't get to do that, okay? Cuck, yeah, Cuck did some bad shit. He's definitely a bad guy, but he at least like there was at least he at least like had a moment where he's like I went too far. At
I'm
least the
sorry,
Cuck
but
realized that.
every time you mention the main character as just being Cuck, it's the funniest shit ever. Yeah, Cuck did a little bad. He did some bad stuff. Cuck's kind of a bad guy, but I think Cuck. There's something about Cuck that kind of warms the heart. Cuck is a. There's a little bit of Cuck inside of all of us. Yeah, that's what you fucking sound like.
Cuck is a nuanced man. Cuck is a complex character.
Cuck, he's emblematic. He's like the movie Cuck, and the titular Cuck himself. It's the Ballad of the Broken Man. It's just it's
Okay, let's talk
the
about
Cuck is God's lonely man.
God's lonely Cuck.
God's lonely Cuck. Oh my god.
Um,
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
most right wingers are cucks. It's kind of funny that he gets more right wing when like watching like getting actual cuck. Like when he actually becomes a cuck, he becomes more right wing. So there is a little
yeah.
like psychology to that. I feel like that's like why a lot of those guys hate the movie because they know that they're all kind of cucks in a way.
I love the scene where he's like shooting the porno video, right? Like, cause he like, okay, so like to kind of retread the plot a little bit for the viewers, for the listeners. Um, Basically, like throughout the movie, he's being told by his mom to get a job. He tries looking for jobs. His car breaks down. Whatever. He gets a job at a grocery store. He quits after he gets into like a racist attack where he like calls a bunch of like teenagers like the N word. They beat him up. His boss comes out. He calls his boss like a sand N word, and then his boss fires him. Finds this random house in the middle of the suburbs. Decides like, hey, I'm just gonna ask them if they need some gardening done. He opens the door. It's that blonde, like some blonde lady that he's been following around. Turns out she's like a porn actress, and her husband make porn videos. They invite him to be a cuckold for their porn. Um, I absolutely love how it just like goes from one scene to the other, where the lady like kind of like trash talks him during the porn, and she's like, "Oh, you like that, you little fucking sniveling cuck." And he there's like the camera zooms on his reaction, and then like the very next scene, he goes out and buys a firearm from the pawn shop.
I mean, there is a little bit of sort of comedy to this movie,
Hmm.
and I think there are a lot of intentionally funny moments. And I think the absurdity of actually making him a cuck in cuck videos is actually, you know, a movie does need a little absurdity to sort of illustrate the point, to sort of animate the life of the movie in kind of a way to sort of drive down the point. And I think the movie did a really good job that the only that this guy clings to masculinity and he sees this sort of far right world as the only way to reclaim it. Despite being a fucking, puddle of shit with like man boobs. Yeah, those
Yeah.
fucking man boobs were fucking hideous,
One of
especially.
my notes is literally just serious moves.
Oh God. And the fact that like they have hair on them, like there's nothing wrong with hair on your nips, but when it's like
It's like
the hair is only on the nips, it's like really
Oreos with an afro.
it's like it's like a fucking pepperoni like left on a basketball court for like months.
Oh God. Oh.
Yum.
I think it's very funny how they choose and I'm not like, this isn't a dig to the actor, but according to the Wikipedia, he like gained a bunch of weight for this role. But like the actor does a really good job at coming across as this like flimsy, unmanly, like sack of shit. Uh, and I love how that's like chosen for the this like titular right winger like cuckold guy to be like just this like unmanly, daddy's boy, daddy issues having guy who likes to play soldier and act angry all the time and just be racist. And it's just like
Um,
what a like when you look at somebody like that in real life, you'd think, my God, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? And
he's a beast. He's a beast.
he's based.
He's freaking beast.
Oh my God. The
Talk.
character feels like a straw man because of that. Because he's like such a perfect storm of negative traits.
Well, I mean, but some people like that fucking exist, bro. Like, I don't like let a
Oh, I
movie have
know.
a life.
I know. I have known people that are kind of like this that do exist. They're like vaguely autistic, threateningly right wing, antisocial people.
Like, what do you like? Why does this movie have to be like above a little bit of a straw man? If a conservative made a movie and like named it like the gay libtard who drinks soy lattes, like they would make that a full fucking straw man.
Well, no,
Who like
here's how you do it. Here's how you do a right wing movie, right? Uh, just
okay.
make a movie called SJW 2023.
Yeah, and she's like outlawing farts or something awesome like that.
Yeah, it's like something really stupid. Just like she's like a militant vegan, radical feminist.
He is corrupting the ethics in comic book journalism.
It could be like an anti-Joker, where instead of society beating up on her, it's her beating up on society. That's how you make a right-wing film. You just make her into like a massive bully.
Now, yeah, I mean the right-wing politics of Cuck is a little it is interesting because I think like you mentioned to me in the podcast you fucking lost, uh the sort of the guy he idolizes, the guy the Cuck idolizes is you told me he's like more of like an exploiter, he had a line
Yeah,
where he doesn't
yeah.
really
He
even
he has a
you go on.
throwaway line, uh, where okay, let's retread the plot a little bit for the listeners. So at some point, the cuck himself, after he does a bunch of cuckolding videos, he buys a better camera and goes on more rants. He starts calling other people cucks in his videos and blah blah blah. He becomes like this kind of like internet lolcow, type of creature, and he ends up getting some fame and he goes to a rally. He meets a alt right figure whose name is like Clive something or some shit, and let's
So
see.
it cuts to the restaurant where a random customer gets chicken tendies, a piece of symbolism.
Symbolic.
Yeah,
Uh,
you know.
but when he meets that alt writer guy, he has like a throwaway line where he says something like, uh, wow, your anger almost sounds real in your videos. That's why I like you. And that just kind of like rings a bell to me. Like almost sounds real. That implies that his anger in his videos just aren't. So it's like it heavily implies that this guy is just like a grifter. You
Oh
know.
yeah. And he also like there is with a lot of right wing guys like that, there is a lot of backstabbing on how he sort of like quickly disavows the cuck and like for being a
Yeah,
cuck.
so spoiler alert, the cuck ends up getting his cuckolding videos leaked on the internet because he gets into a bit of a tiff with the couple, the husband and wife that make the porn videos because he was angry that his face was showing in those videos, so they decided to leak the videos out on the internet, and this was like right after he like kind of got famous in his like little right wing sphere. So a lot of his like right wing viewers found his videos and started clowning on him. And that right wing like alt writer guy that he met with at dinner disavowed him, calling him a cuck, calling him out, you know, said he was a stalker and not somebody they tried to meet with seriously. And it just kind of goes to show like how snakish and how kind of like high school politicsy a lot of like right wing politics like that ends up being.
Well,
And
yeah, it's like, I mean, you even look at like real life of all of the sort of modern like right wing echo spear, like how like the Nick Fuentes kid, like he would before he made it big with being like Kanye's like butt buddy or whatever. Uh, he would get in like debates with these sort of like washed out, like dough-headed millennial jackoffs like Patrick Little and Owen Benjamin. Like people thought like those guys were going to become the next big right-wing thing, but their careers just like sort of flatlined after getting into like petty high school cat fights with Nick Fuentes over like I don't know, Owen Benjamin and Nick Fuentes would like cry with each other over who's like more Jewish. Because Benjamin would be like, your Fuentes is a Jewish last name, and then Fuentes would be like, well, your great grandmother was part Jewish, and it was like very petty shit like that. And that's just sort of a very pitiful kind of reality that a lot of these people will eat each other. I guess that's why Jan 6 was such a clusterfuck because like there was like 10 different types of right wing on there.
I mean, that's kind of why Charlottesville was also kind of a massive fuck up too, because you have all these different groups with all these different group politics, trying to like fight each other. And like, yeah, right wingers are united in purpose, but they're never ever united in terms of like who gets to like take the win. Like I remember hearing a story one time about the Traditionalist Workers Party, which is like a weird like fascist like anti-Antifa street gang fucking group or whatever. And one of the leaders, and this is very relevant to Cuck, the leader of that group, I forgot his name, but he ended up getting cucked by his like right-wing man because his right-wing man had sex with his wife. And after that guy had sex with his wife, he disbanded the entire organization. So this like trailer park love scene between a bunch of Nazis ended up like dismantling this massive Nazi organization way better than the FBI could.
I mean, being a cock is could destroy everything you have, honestly.
And speaking of Nazis and cuckolding videos, let's talk about that husband character, the
The
Aryan
Aryan
Brotherhood
Brotherhood.
tattoo having handlebar mustache guy.
So yeah, I mean he's so yeah, he has all these Nazi tattoos, but he doesn't really say anything politically incorrect. He even like lets like a black man have sex with his wife on camera, and then he only charges the white guy, the fellow Aryan brother, money for having sex with his wife.
Yeah, when the cuck has sex with his wife, he is not even upset. He's just like, "Hey, pay me $200. I don't care." But something weird about this movie is that every like Nazi character has a handlebar mustache. What's up with that?
Well, I mean, I think the mustache in pop culture has been applied to sort of swindler type of characters, and you can maybe even say that they don't even really believe in a cause, this porn star Nazi guy or the YouTube Nazi guy. They're just kind of in it for the money. Where you
That
have sort of like believers like the main Cuck character. The Cuck are sort of the believers in it because they live in such an unesthetic lifestyle that they're just attracted to some sort of hope or glimmer of some great cause or something, and that they get attracted to this downward spiral in a way.
that idea of like these like right-wing characters just being like grifters or just in it for the money alone. I think there's a lot of credit to that in this movie. And I think that's like one of the biggest like kind of like tying themes in this movie is that every like prominent person in this movie who's like a right winger just only cares about money. I mean, there's even a scene where the mother is watching TV and she's watching a televangelist, right? And I could not help but notice that all that was shown on the TV was a big flashing donate now button that was just flashing over and over. My takeaway from it is that it seems like almost every person that is like a right wing or like right wing adjacent character that isn't the Cuck is in some way trying to take money from him. And the people that actually seem to want to help him are typically the people that he seems to be trying to victimize as a right winger. I mean, one of the only people in the movie that helps him is the business owner who gives him a job at his like convenience store, and the Cuck hates him. Like the
Yeah.
Cuck absolutely hates him. He's like, oh, he's like a, he was like talking with like the mechanic guy in the beginning of the movie about how like, oh, all these Muslims are taking our jobs or whatever, and yet he's given a job by like this Middle Eastern guy.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess it's like it's just he's just conditioned to just view a lot of people as sort of disposable.
Yeah, I mean, I think that even comes across when he's like on the date with like the college girl, and he's just like, just stop being a bitch.
Oh God,
when
that was the most like secondhand embarrassment I ever had watching a movie.
Oh my God, I know. Like the part where he like puts his hand on her and he's like grabbing her like arm and just be like, "Stop being a bitch! Why are you doing this to me?" It's like, oh my God. It was a bit difficult to watch. There's a part where in my notes, because I took live movie notes.
Oh
Uh
wow.
yeah, I took live movie notes, and by 7 minutes and 28 seconds, I wrote down, so far outlines an oppressively meek existence for the titular Cuck himself. Very uncomfortable so far. And
Well, you're supposed to be uncomfortable.
a lot of my notes just kind of like continues on with that. He pays for like his groceries with his mom's checks because he's broke. He's kind of an incel. His only friends an Islamophobic mechanic. All pretty much all instances of radio and TV that are shown in Cuck are just spewing more right wing talking points, and it just kind of like confirms his bias.
A lot of people really hated this movie for some reason. I think either they felt attacked from it or either they thought the movie had too much politics or not enough politics. Like I said, everyone wanted their own version of a movie called Cuck. Do you think this movie did a good job of sort of representing the modern day young right winger who's like directionless, or is this more like a millennial sort of view instead of a Zoomer? Because like a Zoomer far righter would be like a skinny nerd like with like statues. Like he wouldn't care about like Americana culture. He would
I
want
mean, they all
ancient
kind
Rome.
of a lot of the right wingers tend to do that shit anyways. I mean, it like no matter if it's somebody who's like running an iFunny account where all they post is like Roman statues that say "Stop being gay," or if they're like some Twitter boomer who's just like MAGA, 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 ultra MAGA, ultra dark mega MAGA. It doesn't. Yeah, da-na-na-na-na. It doesn't really matter because it's they're all basically just different flavors of the same fucking guy. Um, I don't know. I mean, I think this movie, what it does really well with the character is it kind of outlines this sort of like archetypal, right wing vlogger type of guy. This like aspiring right winger, this political guy who just has no life. Nobody gives a fuck about him. Uh, he's like a mama's boy. He's way too old for what he's doing because he looks like he's fucking 30. He comes across as being this very pathetic character, and that, I think, is, at the end of the day, kind of what a lot of right wingers are. Or at least a lot of these, like, terminally online right wingers. They're all very kind of pathetic characters. They live vicariously through the media that they consume. And that's kind of what the Cuck does. He lives vicariously through these like right wing hate vlogs on the like fake YouTube slash fake BitChute site that he's always on in
I
the
mean,
movie.
there are a lot of successful right wingers, but they're guys who are kind of like I don't know, like snake oil salesmen, like the guy he looks up to.
You know who the Cuck reminds me of?
Who?
Okay, so I'm just gonna ask this: have you seen the movie by Andrew Callahan pre-cancellation
Oh,
called "This Place Rules"?
Yeah, that came out just like literally. I watched it like the day before he got canceled.
There's that old man at the very end of the movie. Spoilers, by the way, for This Place Rules. But there's this old man who's like this vlogger guy on like BitChute. And that guy reminds me so much of Cuck, or vice versa, because they're basically the same fucking dude, right? I mean, you have this like aspiring vlogger. He's like kind of a fucking loser, and at the end of This Place Rules, Andrew Callahan drops that, oh yeah, this guy's a convicted pedophile, and he rails against pedophiles in his like videos and in his like right wing stuff, his like right wing propaganda, despite the fact that he literally is one. And that relates so much to Cuck, I think, because the Cuck, he is a right wing character who calls his enemies cucks, yet he himself is quite literally a cuckold for money.
A lot of that whole thing could have just been avoided if he just kept working at the supermarket or the convenience store. Like
Yeah, but it's like that. Life imitates art in that way.
oh,
The hypocrisy is very much real.
like one of the banes of right-wing politics is like guys who in their lives felt like they didn't reach a level of masculinity. It's sort of just using these far right politics as sort of a way to reclaim it. Like from like a generic Reaganite conservative, it's like, okay, you missed out on Vietnam. You don't feel like a man. You have to amp up the Iraq War 40 years later when you're an old piece of shit. Or
Right.
I guess the modern Zoomer equivalent would be like, okay, I'm a directionless young man. I don't get laid, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to take like a traditionalist view of Christianity because that's what masculine men used to do like 300 years ago or whatever. And I'm going to call women whores on the internet because that's what masculinity means to me. I guess to me, this movie is more about masculinity than politics in a weird way. Because if you go with that way of him like idolizing a gun, last thing he has when he loses everything, like the gun sort of symbolizes his masculinity as he's been outed as a cuck by the entire internet.
Yeah, I
So he's
mean,
like, well, all I have is this gun. I guess the only thing I can really use with the gun is shoot people. So I might as well be the crazy cock on a rage.
right. And I love also that during the shooting scene, he like dresses himself up in his dad's like Desert Storm clothes.
Oh
He
God,
puts
that's
on like the grease paint camouflage. And he just goes around randomly shooting people. In his cuck rage, that's what it means to him to be a man, is to just go around looking like an army guy and killing people.
I think what this movie sort of correlates is that a lot of right wingers, whenever they're confronted with just a moderate inconvenience, their first instinct is to just go fucking berserk or just wish everything would go full doomsday, like apocalypse. Um, like, uh, like on Twitter or YouTube, whatever, like all these fucking like anime profile dweebs of like lollies with like Nazi hats. Whenever they see like a gay Burger King commercial that was like made for some cringy PR reasons, their first instinct is like society is fucked. We have to destroy everything. We need a full forced nuclear apocalypse. And it's like those people like in their suburbanite delusions, they think they're going to be one of the people to survive in the chaos. Like I don't like neoliberalism. I think it's very dystopian. I think it's shit, but a lot of people think would a lot of people like want a death cult over that, and it's like no, because you're probably not going to survive the full fucking death cult. Okay, like am I making sense?
Yeah, you're absolutely making sense, and I agree because it's like, yeah, I mean, capitalism sucks, neoliberalism sucks, but that doesn't mean that I want to live in like a fascist death cult post-apocalypse where like, I have to trade my like shitty like mobile home or shitty like apartment for a fucking like mud hut in like a bombed out wasteland. with no
Oh,
running water, electricity. Like, I would rather not. Thank you
well,
very
yeah,
much.
that's sort of the impression I got from him going like full like survivalist mode over this like inconvenience is like he's just willing to go straight to like the fucking death cult
Yeah,
mentality
that's
that
kind of
that's
what
what a lot of right
fascism
wingers
does,
have.
right?
Yeah, it's just like capitalism is like living in a house that might catch on fire on a while because you're like fracking in the backyard. Whereas fascism is just lighting it straight on fire and being like, "Yeah, buddy," you're going off on like a ticking time bomb, and I feel like that is sort of symbolized in the movie.
Kinda. I mean, a little bit. I kind of feel like it is a little bit alluded to that, like, the final stage of this sort of like fascistic ideology and this like alt-right, sort of deranged detachedness from like reality is to literally just resort to nothing but violence. And it kind of becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy at the very end, because how much more can you push a mentally ill loner uh, once you've gotten him to the point of hating society and owning firearms for fun and, trying to like be this like killer because he thinks it'll make him manly. And then it's like, you're surprised that he goes out and does a shooting, right? Which is awful to think about. It's awful to even say, but it's like that is a reality that we see a lot, and that's why a lot of this is like kind of a cultural problem in America, because we create this perfect storm that creates awful people that do awful things, because we keep telling these awful people that these awful things will make them a good person. And I'm not saying we, that's a royal we, these right wingers tell them that. And that's why a lot of these shootings that are done typically by right wingers, because that's the ideology that pushes them into it.
I think a lot of society fetishizes like aesthetics. Oh, like you kind of get what I'm saying, like the aesthetics of politics. And I feel like a lot of
Yeah.
these loser guys like Cuck, like the Cuck is they live such unaesthetic lives that they see because like like neoliberalism is pretty unaesthetic. Like capitalism is fairly unaesthetic, uncultural. But when they see like a death cult being like covered in very aesthetic and shiny like things, they'll just jump straight into it. And I think he finds being a soldier more aesthetic than just a simple, nice, cozy life of working in a convenience store. He to me that like to him that's not aesthetic, but being a soldier and enacting death on people, oh, that's aesthetic to him.
It kind of comes from this like audacity. I feel like that a lot of people nowadays have, that they have to be the best at this, that, or whatever. They have to be this like macho man fucking like alpha chad motherfucker, when really in reality they'd be lucky to just be a fucking like janitor at like a convenience store, like the Cuck was. And I think he was at his height in that film when he had that little janitor job, because he was he was doing honest work, for good people. He was making money, he was doing what his mom told him. And as soon as his politics got in the way of his job, his life was for a short time totally ruined.
Like maybe if we didn't like conflate masculinity, like oh being janitor is not a real job or whatever, but then again like there's no real outsider force like telling him that in the movie. Like everyone seemed to be fine with him being a janitor.
Well, yeah, I mean, society at large doesn't care.
Yeah, I mean,
Society at large would rather he be a normal guy. But he himself is kind of pushed by this sort of like echelon of right wing, culture and politics into this kind of ideal of a person that doesn't exist.
yeah, I guess there is more of that like oh he sort of created his own downfall just by like just wanting something he knew he couldn't even like fucking obtain.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real here. In Cuck, him being a cuck wouldn't have been a problem if he wasn't a right wing figurehead by the end of the
Yeah,
movie.
yeah. I mean, like worst case scenario, he would have got paid a couple $100. Maybe he would have got himself a new car and then he got a new job and then would have fucking, I don't know, stopped being a cuck and just fucking been chilling. But, he became derangedly attached to this woman because, I don't know, she was like blonde and pretty.
She gave him attention once.
Yeah.
It just it ended up being like this weird moment of like him being super desperate for pussy and him wanting to like protect his right wing ideology. And they kind of like the husband and wife character, they defied him by leaking that out. And that ended up causing him to go over the edge, and that was mostly his fault to begin with. To be fully honest, it was most of the cuck's fault. Because if he hadn't been so creepy and possessive and just weird and had just kind of stayed chill about things, they probably wouldn't have done that.
I mean, then again, it's like I'm not excusing the cuck. I'm not gonna make the cuck turn out to be like a good guy who was turned bad because yeah, he was always a piece of shit. But the
Yeah.
cuck, he like I said, he lived in such an unaesthetic. Like I keep using that word, but to me, I just feel like that's what sort of sparked. Because like there's that scene of him like I don't know, like washing his like old ass mom in the tub, and it's supposed to be like made in a scene where it's like this is what he sees every day. He doesn't see beauty. He doesn't have a girlfriend. He doesn't have too many friends. He just doesn't witness the good things in life. So it's obvious he wants something much different to at least give himself purpose outside of this very gross lifestyle.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's like another kind of point throughout the movie is that he lives without purpose. All he does is he watches these like right wing propaganda videos, masturbates, then goes to sleep. It's a depressing lifestyle. And all he does is he just sits around and spends his mom's money. Goes to the grocery store, gets some fucking smokes, blows his mom's money with a check. No consequence lifestyle, no risk, no nothing, just, living this like depression loop.
Yeah.
It's a sad lifestyle. It's a very meek lifestyle.
I mean, I'll admit when my mom yells at me that I use too many glasses in my room, I do have little autistic freakouts like him. At least, not vocally, but like the movement. I'll give him that. It's not uncommon to fucking jilt around your arms when you're mildly frustrated.
Is there something you'd like to admit, Synth Cool?
I'm not. I'm not a cuck.
Are you admitting you're a cuck?
Yeah, no, maybe.
Damn, I guess that might
Yeah,
be why you like this movie so much.
yeah, this was actually a biopic on my life. I mean, I thought it was a very good movie. I thought it was relevant. I think it's stylish. For something that was made by an indie studio, it's perfectly fine movie. I'm gonna give it an 8 out of 10.
Technically speaking, I have some gripes with it. I did not appreciate the piss filter being throughout the movie so much. The camera quality was a bit weird, but the cinematography was great, I would say. Weirdly great, actually. A lot of the shot compositions and those like really surreal moments of like the cuck kind of like remembering his father, then thinking back to his father and having those like dream sequences. I always thought those were pretty cool.
Yeah.
Those were like really cool scenes in the movie.
Oh,
Um, but the acting in some portions was a little off here and there. I think the shop owner and his son were like the two best actors in the movie because their performance just came off very like natural, and
the acting felt fine to me. I think everyone did a good job in this movie.
I think if there's one person that I think did a pretty bad job at acting, it was the mother. The mother character was so weird when she had her like meltdown at the porn wife's house. It was so weird. She just rolled up to her house on a stroller and was just like, "What have you done to my son, you whore? You fucking whore!" It's just like, oh my
Yeah,
god.
made you uncomfortable, huh? Yeah, then that's how you know it was a powerful scene.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. Um,
It's a powerful moment. Moments that'll make you cry in cinema. Number
yeah, Cuck
one,
made me
Cuck
cry.
2019.
I actually cried at that scene of Cuck where he spared the two dudes and thought about his dad. I shed a tear. I shed a tear during Cuck, and you know what? I'm not ashamed. Okay?
I mean, it didn't quite affect me as much.
Yeah,
I
because
thought,
you're a fucking Cuck.
oh wow, yeah, because I'm a cuck, huh?
Yeah.
At least I don't relate to the cuck. At least I don't say
No,
literally
I,
me,
I didn't. I didn't say that.
literally
I said
me.
I said the movie was for people who are aware of the current political climate. It does not make me a cuck. I am not a cuck. I am a big, strong man.
All right. Well, if I had to give the movie a rating, I'd say I give it about a 5 out of 10, like a mid
Six. Give it a
five.
fucking six.
Huh?
Give it a six.
Give it a 6.
Give it a fuck. I got my fucking hand through your fucking neck. Give it a six.
5.5.
All right. All right.
5.5 out of 10.
Yeah. Oh, we
Uh,
sound a little low energy in the stream because we were like screaming, arguing on the lost recording because we really went at it. Like we were.
we were at it like cats and dogs, dude. We were fucking screaming about it. It would have been some real fine cinema, or sorry, real fine radio, if we had uploaded that. But unfortunately, I'm a complete fucking ditz. So
Yeah. He's also a cock too.
go fuck yourself. So now I've made a backup folder, so this will hopefully never happen again. So with that being said, any last thoughts, Synth Cool?
Uh, fuck, I had so much I was gonna say, but I ate a bunch of tacos and I really mellowed out. I mellowed out too much to get enthusiastic about the movie Cuck.
Well, there you have it. Those are his final closing statements.
No.
All right, got anything more to say?
I think Cuck is a better movie than The Dark Knight. I think Cuck is a better movie than El Camino because you said you gave that an 8 out of 10, and I say that movie sucks ass.
Yeah, I
Cuck is a movie. It's a solid movie. It's I'm gonna repeat myself. It's fresh, relevant to the times. I think it has a bite, it has a bark. I think it's a well-made movie. You know, it doesn't cover everything. It's not gonna explain like it's not gonna give you like an explanation of like the current political climate, like some Adam McKay Vice thing or whatever. But it's a nice little self-contained story.
that's actually a good point. We should review Vice.
Oh yeah, yeah, we should. That's a good movie.
I think that'd be a nice one to riff on.
Yeah, but this also is it's it's its own type of movie. It's a little story. It is going to make you uncomfortable, but that's the whole point because it's an uncomfortable story of an uncomfortable man who is it's a very tragic movie, but I think it was very engaging. And I'm going to be a big man, not a little cuck like Meatball, and give it an 8 out of 10.
I think if you agree with me that this movie was mid at best, all the listeners here, uh, for one, you should give us money on the Patreon, and
Oh yeah, yeah, give us money.
for two, you should also comment below hashtag synthcuck if
No,
you believe that synth cool
no.
is a cuckold.
Okay, how about Meat Cuck or Cuckball or Ivan Cuck? If you support my side, you know, Cuck is a solid movie, better than the Joker. I'm not even
Nah,
fucking
man,
bullshitting. It's
you
like all
you can't say
yeah,
that. That's
it's
sacrilege.
better than the Joker. What motherfucker? I read because like I feel like him like looking reading the comments, like nodding his head. I feel like that's more fresh than watching fucking Phoenix like dancing all the fucking movie. It's just him dancing. At least like Cuck has like an answer. At least like it answers its own mystery by being like, oh yeah, his father committed suicide. Unlike Joker, which is like, is Joker Bruce Wayne's brother? We're not gonna tell you. Was he hallucinating about this woman? We're not gonna tell you. You know what? You're basically just paying for like a fucking like half-assed mystery with no real conclusion. At least Cuck has like the balls to be like, oh yeah, here's why the Cuck is a bit of a cuck. Here's why. You know, the
Okay,
Cuck is
but
not a
look,
full fucking what?
but look, the Cuck movie has a quote in it All right, that
Yeah.
I have to bring it back up.
Okay.
So
Okay.
as the titular cuck is trying to shoot the like Nazi husband guy, he says, and I quote, "Who's the cuck now?" before blowing his brains out with a gun. Uh, that
Yeah.
that I think gave me cancer.
Well, let me tell you something. He is a cringy, nerdy, dumb motherfucker. What else would he have said? It's not like he was going to come up with some sophisticated thing. It's like that. That's what he is. The cuck is only capable of giving cuck movie quotes. Is the cuck isn't capable of giving him this like detailed, beautiful, world changing dialogue. No, the cuck is only capable of this. And you know what? It's called being loyal to the character. The writer isn't going to put his own mouthpiece through this character. He's going to make this character a character. The cuck is his own character, and the cuck, when he shoots someone, he's going to say something that's cuck. I'm sorry that you like what the fuck were you expecting from the protagonist of Cuck?
My favorite part of cuck was when the cuck said it's cucking time and they cucked all over the place.
Bye,
Goodbye, everyone.
everybody.
Goodbye,
Bye.
everyone. Uh, follow our Patreon. Give us money. Goodbye. You're all cucks.
Cuck.